Hello and welcome back to the Angel Face Magic Hour podcast. We are having another guest on today, and I'm super honored and excited to talk with Lauren Unger, who is an amazing healer who I have had the pleasure of working with over the last couple of years. I could talk about Lauren endlessly. I have had such transformation working with her. I have, as recent as last night, sat in her circles. She does all sorts of things from one-on-one coaching to classes, sound healing, a little bit of everything. So I'm really excited to see where this conversation takes us. And I would love to have Lauren just introduce herself, tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. So I am Lauren Unger. It's funny to hear my last name because most people now just call me Lauren Courtney Heels. Um, and Lauren Unger is my full name. Lauren Courtney Heels is my business. And I am many of things. I'm a spiritual guide and spiritual coach. I am a healer. I'm a Holy Fire Karuna Reiki master. I am trained in the Akashic records. I'm trained in sound healing, true body intelligence, integrated energy therapy, and many lifetimes over shaman and alchemist.
Yeah, and she also is a trained chef. She has many titles and many lifetimes in this one given lifetime. So it's so cool for me. I've worked with Lauren the last, I guess, like maybe 3 years or 4 years or something.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
crazy.
And just to see like how many iterations of your work has happened since then and just expanding, it's super inspiring to me. So I'm honored that you would want to talk with me today.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm always inspired by you. You're just such a light. It's been so fun to watch you grow and expand into going as far as having a podcast. It's amazing.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So to begin, I created these what I'm calling like rapid fire questions or like opening questions, just some fun stuff to get people to know our guests a little bit more than just like stuff they can read on the website.
I love it.
So I would just like to know, share with us about your daily routine. I know Lauren is like always doing something for her personal work. Like there's always a new action and new step that she's taking to take better care of herself, to hold space for a lot of people. So I think it's really important for people to hear these measures that people need to take if they really want to show up. So I would love just to hear about how you're taking care of yourself.
So it's perfect timing for you to ask me that question because I have a spreadsheet that I wrote yesterday for
Perfect.
my self-care summer hit list.
I
And
love this.
it includes a 30-minute workout at minimum 5 to 7 days a week. And that's because I'm a generator in human design and I really need to sweat. It's how I feel my best. Daily stretching for 10 to 15 minutes focused on my physical organs, a gallon of water every day. I plan to gua sha 3 to 5 days a week for my face.
Oh, I like to
Because
hear
it
that.
feels really good. I thought you'd like that one, my gua sha. Daily sound healings. I typically fall asleep to one of mine every day. I have a pop-up sauna that I need to get back into a little more. So 3 times a week that. I do weekly trips to the chiropractor, biweekly trips to the acupuncturist. I'm adding on biweekly lymphatic drainage massages and also
Oh,
being in bed early. And this is again my new summer self-care hit list. And it's because I'm really wanting to focus more on me since the beginning of the pandemic. I've done so much helping others. And as I continue to help others, it's how can I help myself first? I always tell my clients, fill up your cup first, so then you can pour into others. So on top of the journaling that I do every day, eating clean, cooking for myself, meditating, and all of that, I thought what would really support me as I move into the summer months where we have the ability to slow down a little bit. And of course, with retrograde also kicking off the summer, it's like, how can I move slowly, but with such intention that my body knows I really want to care for it?
Beautiful. Yeah, Lauren kills the self-care game. It's inspiring. I remember when I was working with you, you were doing like runs like every day and like 30-minute stretches, like just the most intense stuff. But it's really important, I think, also to see what your body needs in that moment. Like, okay, you need that now, but that's not a forever thing. Like to be
Absolutely.
able to switch and change and like actually listen to the messages you're receiving. So it's
Absolutely.
very
When I
inspiring.
was doing those runs, it was a 10-minute, I think it was a 10-minute run every day and stretching. And it was part of my true body intelligence training. And the stretching is specific to the organs and the meridians. So it really, like, the physical work allows us to get into the physical body. With the work that we do, we're outside of our bodies so often, in the spiritual realms, in the fifth dimension, that it's so important to come back to the physical body because we chose to have them for a reason. So I like to really do the work that is fifth dimensional and third dimensional for myself. Otherwise, I would just be flying all over the place all the time.
Yes, me too. Amazing. And so tell us, is there anything that's like inspiring you right now, like a book or a movie or a song or anything that is maybe outside of just self-help personal development work?
I think right now what I'm most inspired by is nothingness. Is by sitting in silence, by putting everything down and putting everything away and simply being. And this idea of like, who are you when no one's looking? Who are you when you're alone? What is your connection with God, source, universe? And like, can you just sit? If you were in a room with nothing in it, we were talking about this last night, like you had all the crystals taken away, all the cards taken away. If everything was taken away, who are you with none of the things? So that's really what I'm working on, like being my best self with nothing, right? Just really getting to know me.
And I think that's hard because it's one, there's so many distractions, but also being in that silence, it can be intimidating or scary for people if they're not used to being with themselves, that thoughts or things might come up that they're might not be ready for. So I think it's important for us to take that actual quiet time because we're not gonna, it's easy to ignore the things if so many things are playing in the background or happening at the same time.
Absolutely. And when I say that that's what's inspiring me, it's one of the hardest things I can do. And even with my self-care, right? Like there's so much space within my self-care that I'm sitting in the quiet. When I'm sitting in the sauna, I'm quiet. If I'm at acupuncture, I'm quiet. At the chiropractor, getting a massage, doing my workouts. When I work out now, I'm not trying to plug my ears with headphones because I get so in my head and in the music. You know, there are times where I want to be in the music and be in the vibe, but can I be with that muscle? Can I be with that meridian? Can I be with that physical part of myself? Because it just allows us to know ourselves even more.
Yeah, and I think like it's a different approach to working out or taking care of your body when you're like, okay, I'm integrating and listening to each step and each system. It's not like, oh, I'm trying to fit into a size or a bathing suit or whatever. It's really about how your mind and your body and everything interacts together, which can result in making you feel and look good. So that's
Yeah,
always exciting.
exactly. All these bonuses.
Yes. So this question is inspired by a TikTok that I made. And I asked this question to my other guests, and I just think it's going to be a recurring question. But if you were to invite 5 people to have a conversation with, dead or alive, on the topic of consciousness, like a seminar of sorts, 5 people, who would you invite for to talk with the idea of consciousness, infinite?
Oh my
So
God, I love this question. Like, because of course my mediumship is like coming through so loud, and like my spirit guides that I work
they're
with
like,
are
we want to
hanging out
talk.
with me. And I've had this conversation with my sister before as well. So, so the people that I would invite, I mean, first and foremost, Tupac and Biggie, who are two of my spirit guides. I don't know why they are spirit guides for me. I don't question it anymore. I absolutely love it. Um,
East
I would,
Coast, West Coast bonding.
yeah, exactly. And a little more West Coast and someone that's alive, I would invite Snoop Dogg because he as well has been some sort of interesting guide for me on my journey.
He's a very interesting person.
He's so interesting. There's a lot of wisdom there, that like when you pay attention, you can really connect with it. So those three. Okay, who else? I'm like hearing like some crossover celebrities talk to me. I'm like, oh, you're sweet, but it's not going to be you. Sorry.
Maybe a different conversation.
Yeah, I'm totally happy for a dinner party where we're not talking about consciousness. Malcolm X and Jim Carrey.
Oh, he's so interesting. I
Yeah,
feel like he has a
that
lot
was like
of
a new one for
information.
me. There would be a lot of good information there. Oh my God. And like, as I say that, I'm also feeling like Keanu Reeves. Interesting that I didn't pick a single woman. So sorry, ladies, you'll come to another dinner. But yeah, I would say those five.
I love it. Yeah, I was like, there was this TikTok trend about people making their ideal like seminar, Socratic seminar circle. And I was just thinking about like, oh, if I was to invite people forward to have a conversation about consciousness. And my answer was like Nikola Tesla and like Kanye West and Britney Spears. I was like, and Aleister Crowley and Mikey, who is my alien spirit guide. But I was like, I just think it's a very interesting idea to think about because there's so many different perspectives out there, and it can be something where it can be so overloaded, like it's too many words, too many things for us to understand or process. So to have a conversation with people that are a little more human about it, I think would be insightful.
Yeah, absolutely. I have a folder on my computer that keeps catching my eye right now. It's my Heavenly Helpers folder, and the cover of that folder is Kobe Bryant, and he's like, "Why didn't you pick me? Like, why am I not at your dinner?"
Like, we all want to come, Lauren.
And like Nipsey Hussle's like, "Hey, I'm trying to stop by." I'm like, "Listen, you got like you can all come through. Grace gave me the limit."
Yeah, maybe we'll have to do multiple circles.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and my last question for you is, I do not like to use the word guilty pleasures. So I'm trying to think of a different way to explain that. But what is something that you like to do that people might not expect from someone who is a healer or a spiritual guide?
Well, it's funny. When you said guilty pleasure, I was like, oh my God, pizza. It's like, I can't wait to have a slice of pizza the next time I'm in New York. But a guilty pleasure, something that people might not expect from me. I don't know. I feel like I'm just
You're
like,
pretty open
I
book.
put it all out there on social media over the years. Oh my gosh, like what would okay, well, no, everyone knows I like sing weird songs. Um okay, well, I don't know. I feel like this is pretty expected. But I really my grandmother lives down here as well, and I'm in Florida, and my great aunt lives here. And whenever I go see them, I also really like to go see my grandpa at the cemetery. And the reason I like to go to the cemetery is because it's so quiet and peaceful, and I can hear so clearly. And so that's probably one of my guilty pleasures. Like I actually like enjoy going to visit people at the cemetery, and I know I can connect with anyone anywhere, but I really like going to the cemetery.
I love it. I actually go like all the time. And I feel like the spirits, like, I think if you want to visit like your grandfather, like a specific spirit, they'll show up for you. But I feel like for the most part, they're not really there. Like, I feel like it's just a peaceful place. I feel like people have
Oh,
this impression of it being like, oh, it's haunted. I'm going to get ghosts attached to me if I go to the cemetery. But that's definitely like the place that I think I go there and the beach the most, like
yeah.
to just like decompress my energy.
Totally. I just always love going. I sit down, he's in a mausoleum, and I sit on the floor and I just get messages, and it's so beautiful, and we have nice chats.
I love that. Amazing. Well, thank you for answering my questions. So yeah, I just love to pick your brain a little bit, ask a few more things. But so Lauren is a medium, and she also does sound healing. The list goes on. We we named a lot of her titles, but I'm just curious how mediumship shows up for you, like on a day-to-day basis. Like for me, at least, my impression of the work you do is it's not exactly the kind of mediumship people would have an understanding of already. Like, people might expect, okay, I come and I'm having a conversation with purely deceased loved ones. But I think what you do is like beyond that. So I'm curious how it shows up for you, both in your work and just in your day-to-day life.
Yeah. So it's so interesting because that's what awakened me to my spiritual gifts altogether was mediumship. After the loss of my best friend, he began communicating with me. And for so long, I was like, I don't know if I'm a medium. And everything pointed to, Lauren, you're a medium. And it's because I thought it was something. I thought it was the Long Island medium. I thought it was what I'm shown on TV. And that's 100% a part of it. But within my work, I don't book medium sessions. You can't schedule a session with me for a 30-minute or 45-minute medium reading. But within my healing work, it shows up. And the way that it shows up is I call in angels, guides, and loved ones for the highest good for my client, for their healing or whatever it is they're needing in a session. And sometimes it will be loved ones that show up that have a message. And sometimes their physical organs will talk to me and tell me, like, hey, I need this specific herb, or I need this specific tea every morning. And I'll hear the different foods and different herbs that the body needs and is desiring, and how we can function it at a higher frequency. So that's I would say a big part of my mediumship is I don't like to use the term medical medium because it is trademarked by the medical medium, but it is essentially medicinal mediumship.
Yeah, you're like a spirit doctor. You're like,
yeah,
like being able to prescribe, whether that's like, oh, take this herb or do this thing for the next 2 weeks. Like you get information about what the client needs to do outside of the session, which absolutely. I think is so powerful.
Yeah, it's really cool. And it's something, as you mentioned before, I've worked as a chef, and I worked as a chef for a few years, working with clients recovering from food, drug, and alcohol addiction, and as well as a coach. So I had a lot of background in food. It's not something all of a sudden, like I know about food and I know about herbs. It's that I'm a holistic health coach. I studied different dietary theories. I then worked with food for a few years. So it's one of the tools in my toolkit that is a part of how I help people heal. And in my program Glow Up Your Chakras and my program Glow Up Your Organs, I list foods to eat for your specific chakras, for your organs, what's going to help them, what's going to make them feel good. Of course, nothing is going to be specific to everyone, right? We have to pick and choose what makes sense. But in one-on-one sessions, I typically get like, these are the things we need. Go ahead and add them to your diet, see what it does for you. there have been times where I'm seeing a client and they're exhausted and they don't know why they're exhausted. And perhaps it's their adrenals or their thyroid. And I'm guided to tell them to, there's been times where like chlorella came up and spirulina and things that I don't necessarily use. And I'll just hear the name and I'll, Google it and see like, hey, what are the properties of this? What's the point of this? And then I'll understand the messages that are coming through as well. So there's definitely that medicinal medical component of the work that I'm doing. Of course, I'm not a certified doctor. I like to think of myself more as a witch doctor. So I, it's not medical advice, it's spiritual healing advice that I offer to my clients. And then of course there are the loved ones that come through. A really good family friend of mine passed away 2 days ago. Which has been really sad, obviously, when someone crosses over and transitions. But what's really beautiful is within hours of him crossing over, he began talking to me, which was a lot because it's a
So
lot
fresh,
really quickly. But it's been a beautiful transition. So I do have that happen quite often where people come to me that I'm close with very soon. Yeah, it's a beautiful journey, mediumship, one that I believe, and I'm sure you believe as well, we all have these gifts, and there may have been a point in our life where we turned them down a little bit because of fear, because it was unknown, because we were scared, and then we get to a point where we feel safe enough to open them. And now I feel so safe, so grounded, so comfortable opening up about my mediumship and who I am on a soul level and sharing that with people, because there is so much healing that comes with the mediumship component that for a long time I ignored. And then I realized how important it was within a few sessions with clients where loved ones came through that provided some clients with closure that they needed.
Beautiful. Yeah. And I think that's what's so amazing about what you do is like, you don't have to box it or pin it to, I only do this type of reading or I only do this type of healing. It's all catered and custom to what the client needs, which really to me proves that, oh, the spirit is coming through you because you're really listening. It's not like this formula that everyone gets the same thing.
Yeah,
So
I couldn't imagine. So even
seems
lately,
boring to me.
yeah, even lately, I've felt that I'm in a box again, and I'm breaking out of that box. And the box that I'm in is Lauren Courtney Heals, this business, this healing business that's so beautiful. But now I've created all these courses, all these evergreen programs, all these sound healings. They're tools that will live on long after I'm gone for people to use forever as they go through their awakening process. And at the same time, I'm letting Lauren Courtney Heals evolve into who she is as I continue to evolve into the next place for me, which is my next phase of my brand, which is called the Spiritual Agent, where I'll focus more on deep work with clients, one-on-one work, and Lauren Courtney Heals gets to be more of that group containers still and the do-it-yourself programs.
Amazing. Yeah. And I think that's what's so cool is that people at all levels of like experience can work with you. Like they could buy a sound healing and listen to that for 2 months. And then they realize, oh, maybe I need to continue working with Lauren and see all these different options of things that they could do at different price points or as well as like time, people might want to not put in that 8-week class, but they have time to do the healing every night. So it's like, it meets people where they're at, which I think is important because not everyone's ready to dive deep, but they might want to peek their toes in
not
and see
everyone's
what they
ready
need.
to go into the underworld with me to really peel back some stuff, but it's true. And that's why I've created so many offerings, and I shouldn't even say I created, right? Like spirit created through me. So I have things that begin at the lowest that I can think of off the top of my head is $33. I think there's something even less. And then I go up obviously to much higher ticket coaching for one-on-one, but even my evergreens, my 16-week glow up your chakra program is $777 and you get 16
for
weeks
that much material is
transformation.
crazy. Yeah. And I think what's so cool is too, is like you create this community, like people that I've been able to make friends with, as well as clients come to me through working with you, like meeting people through you, and also meeting Sloan, like being able to work with her and do your circles and everything. I think it's really cool that you're your own person, you're your own energy, your own idea, but you'll bring everyone together to be able to, yeah, see what they have to offer, because yeah, everyone has gifts, whether they want to use them or not.
And I love that you say that, because 5 years ago, when my awakening really came to like a head and I had, the option, do I want to follow the path or do I want to walk away? I was on the journey alone, and many people stepped out of my life, and I had a lot of space to get to know myself and to figure out my path. And when I was guided to finally create my business 4 years ago or so, gosh, I don't even know how long it's been, this part of my business, my purpose was, you don't have to go through this alone. So to be able to see such a community built out of past clients and people that have come to Reiki trainings, and to be able to share clients and recommend clients and really create something massive, which I didn't even realize, right? And I think sometimes I still don't even realize the ripple effect that's been created. It really makes such an impact on my life, because I know how hard it was to do it alone. And I never want anyone to feel alone on the spiritual journey or path.
Yeah, and it can be scary when you don't understand what's happening to you. I mean, people, it can feel like you're losing your mind or you're going through psychosis.
My
And
mom and I were talking yesterday, and a client came into her office and said, like, oh, I don't know, my daughter came home, she broke up with a boyfriend, she has all these crystals now, she's doing Reiki, it's very like kumbaya. And my mom used to say that exact word to me. She'd be like, I don't know, Lauren, you seem really kumbaya. And
my parents call it hippie shit.
Yeah. And my mom was able to turn to this woman and say, listen, I get where you're at, because I have a kumbaya at home too. My daughter is a kumbaya, but she's seen my transformation. But she shared with the woman, she's like, listen, a few summers ago, we wanted to have an intervention with our daughter. We flew her home from LA. We didn't end up going through with the intervention because we saw she was okay. It was just this experience she was having. And now we see, she has a successful business. We see clients that really praise the work she's done, and she's so happy. So I think that's the thing, right? When we're going through the dark night of the soul, it's fucking scary. And like it's like being inside of a tornado and you're in the eye of the storm, but everything is swirling around you, and you barely get it. So how do you expect anyone else to understand? So having a community of like-minded people who do get it is so helpful.
Yeah, I think it's so important. And like for me personally, like I had, the sun is in my eyes. I have mental illness and all that stuff in my family and in my personal history. So it's easy for people to maybe think that, oh, they're losing their mind, they have anxiety, depression, when yeah, it could be that there could be a mental imbalance or something going on in your brain, but it might also be that you're opening up to more than just the physical reality, which can be destabilizing for sure,
to say the least.
Yeah. And I think like that's what's so cool about what you do is like you take these large esoteric concepts, these things that are like out there, kumbaya or whatever, and make it something that all types of people could connect with. Like your clients, like sitting in your circle, it's like there's like real estate agents and like people that are like 50-year-old men, like just all sorts of people that you wouldn't see on the stream, like, oh, that's someone that's going to be at a Reiki circle or a moon circle. They'd probably be like, what the hell is that? And those are the people that are showing up and having like big transformations. It's like, it's so interesting to, I think for me to break down those ideas and concepts of what a spiritual person looks like or is, because everyone is spiritual. We're just bodies that are spirits and bodies. So
yeah.
Everyone
I
has
think
their own approach.
and I love how in Holy Fire Reiki in the book, they talk about, probably in regular Sui Reiki too, but they talk about anyone can be a Reiki healer and it doesn't matter what you look like, because I think like we live in this society that it's like, well, if you're not wearing white and you don't have
Especially
your
with
olive
social
on,
media.
yeah, like then you're not a yogi. Well, guess what? I enjoy doing yoga, but I also like to wear black workout clothes. It doesn't make me any different. And being a New Yorker originally, like I have my style, I have my vibe, I have my energy, and living in LA and now being in Miami, I blend it all together. And like, I'm not gonna look like a kumbaya healer, and I tried that on, and I saw what it felt like, and it was cool, and it's a part of the blend of who I am, but I am my authentic self. So no one is ever going to look like me. I'm not going to look like anyone else. So I also understand that none of my clients are ever really going to look the same either, because they're all going to be so different.
Yeah, and it's so cool to see, like, well, last year we did the body of light group healing for a few
Mhm.
weeks, and that was so powerful for me. But it was so cool to see how, yeah, all these people come together, no one looks alike, no one does the same thing, but they're all receiving powerful messages in the same way. Like to be able to see, oh, we did this healing whatever day a week it was, and throughout the week everyone is having these shifts that all follow the same wave, but it all shows up differently because everyone has their own thing going on. But it's so cool to see those threads in ways that you would not expect.
Yeah, it's a beautiful journey. I truly never know who is going to apply to work one-on-one with me, and that's definitely part of the magic. Even now, I've been working mainly with women. I'd say 70%, 80% women for the last 4.5 years. And I'm really being guided to work with men more and more, to help men step into being those conscious leaders and feel safe balancing their feminine and masculine energy, and be that space for them to really up level and receive the codes and the activations that their souls are wanting to step into at this point in life.
I think that's beautiful, because I mean, I can't say because I'm not a man, I don't know how they feel, but there is a stigma, I think, of like, oh, this being some girly shit. Like if you're going to sit at a ceremony or do a breathing exercise, like that's like lame. Like that's not something that men do. At least
Yeah.
from, so I think it's really cool to see like people's perspective changing, especially in like older generations, like people in my parents' age. Like I see them shifting into, oh, maybe they would um go to that event that before it was not even on their radar, and if they were aware of it, it was not something they'd be interested in.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
it's really beautiful.
Yeah, I was in Tulum about a month or 2 months ago for a mastermind with a conscious leaders group that I'm a part of. And of the 30 or so people there, about 20 were men. And we were doing things like breath work, talking about sacred sexuality. We were doing art creation, spiritual healing, energetic healing. I was channeling messages for many of the people there. And it was just beautiful to watch these men. I mean, a few people I walked over and had some time with them to share messages from loved ones that were coming through, and these men just embraced me and hugged me and cried in my arms, and really needed those messages to continue to step forward as a leader and as a conscious leader, to really move on their journey in a way that felt safe for them. And it was just so beautiful to be able to give them the confirmation they needed in the most loving way, and for them to really have the release that they've been seeking. So it's beautiful. I'm definitely seeing it more and more. And my own 70-year-old father, when I'm home visiting New York, he'll be like, oh, you just like, sprinkle a little of that like fairy dust you got on me.
My dad, like we went to see Star Wars a couple years ago, and he was like talking to me like, oh, so I understand Reiki now. I understand what it's the force. It's this, I get it now. I'm like, oh, okay. That's all I had to do is explain it in a way that he would get it.
Exactly. It's the force, Dad. It's the
Yeah,
force.
it's the force. But it's so interesting. Yeah, I see in my family, like the more I change and shift, like the more that they are open to things that I wouldn't expect them to be.
Yeah, it's such a beautiful process. We don't have to force anything on anyone. As we shift, we create that energy and vibration that they either anyone, parents, friends, clients, etc., are either attracted to us and want more of us, or they run away. And usually like a year later, they're like, oh, so I remember you were
Yeah.
talking about this thing and I was not into it, but like now I'm ready.
Now I bought my first crystal, so let's talk. I love that. Do you feel like, because I feel like in the work that you do, having these containers, that is the way I see it. It's like contagious. Like you're working, everyone else is working, and then you can create even like bigger shifts. Like, do you feel like the containers that you create are like making a bigger shift than if you were to work just individually?
I think the difference, what I see between one-on-one and a group container is one-on-one, we're going fast. We're going really fast, like really, really fast. The shifts are going to be monumental and they're going to be quick. And it's for someone who really is ready to move through some stuff and enter into that next phase. And I think it's not even them as a human that's ready for it, but it's their soul that's like, yes, I need this now. Sign me up. And then there are some souls that want to go a little slower. They want to feel safer, because if there's like this disconnect also between our self right now and the inner child, often we need to bring the inner child back to feel safe within the body to really go on the deep dive. So I think that's what happens in a lot of my group containers. It's we go a little slower, and every soul that's in that container, whether it be a Reiki training or an 8-week program or whatever it is, each soul that's in that container was meant to touch and connect with the other souls in that container, because one person's healing is also another person's healing. It's all reflective. So we get to hit on different parts that we might not even think of. Like sometimes we don't think to bring something up because we think it's just normal, right? Like, let me think of an example. For instance, like within my awakening, my hearing came first. But there were always these weird things I had with my hearing that I just thought other people had too. And I also had these like weird things with my vision that I just thought other people had too. So I never talked about it, right? Like my whole life, I didn't talk about these things because I thought it was normal. So that's where you can enter a group container, and I may share like, oh, like this weird thing happens with my ears, and someone else might be like, oh my God, that happens to me too. But we never thought it was anything other than like, oh, well, everyone has this, but 3 other people might be like, oh, I don't have that. But then they also start experiencing it because we wake up parts of one another.
Yeah,
So I think like the one-on-one is like fast movement. Your soul is ready. You are in that place to really level up, to take that big leap. And the group containers are, you're also ready to level up. You're also ready to take the leap, but you want to be held, with gloves, as opposed to me just like ripping the Band-Aid off real quick.
Grabbing you out of the cage.
Exactly.
Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, I think it's so powerful, both ways of working, but I feel like the groups are so cool to see the through lines and the threads like between the people. I think that's always so interesting. Like I'm in California, you're in Miami. I know when I've taken classes, there's people in New York. I mean, there might even be international people. I don't know, but there's people from everywhere and all different types. So It's always
Yeah,
exciting
it's
to
really
see.
cool. I mean, like even the Sitting with Spirit program you did with me, it it was just four of you, I think, and it was
I
two
think
in
it's 4 or 5.
Boston.
I can't remember.
Four. Oh yeah, it was five. I was missing one. So there was two in Boston, one in Pennsylvania, one in New York, and you in California. And three of the women in that group were 50 plus, and three of us were, well, I'm the oldest of the three. I'm 37, and the two of you are younger. So it's just so interesting how our souls reconnect and come back together, because so many of us have known each other before. We've done this work together before in different lifetimes. So when people come to work with me, and I believe people find me when they're ready. You don't just show up to work with me like out of the blue. You're ready. You've been referred, or you've been following me for a while, and you're like, okay, I'm ready to dive in. There's just this like amazing thread that exists that I all I ask is for an open mind. Come with an open mind and come with an open heart, because you will be blown away, not by the experience that I offer you, but by who you are and who I get to show you you are, and who I get to remind you that you are. Because when I channel, I'm a mirror. I'm a
That's what I
reflection
was just
for
thinking
my
in my
client.
mind.
Yeah, like I'm just a reflection. So I'm reflecting back to you exactly who you are. I was working with a client the other day, and I said to her in a one-on-one session at the end, I was still channeling these messages. I was like, you are fucking magic. And it just kept coming through, kept coming through, kept coming through. Just like, do you say this to all of your clients? And I was like, no, bitch. Like, I don't just say shit to my clients. Like, I'm channeling the message for you, and I'm telling you, you are magic. And these are the things that are coming up for you. Because sometimes we can't hear ourselves. So I get to be the ears that, and for your intuition, for your highest self, that you're not maybe willing to connect with at this moment, but you are ready to hear on some level. So you can step into a place where you don't need me to give you the messages anymore, but you're going to hear them for yourself.
Yes, it's beautiful. Well, thank you so much, Lauren. I will post on the show notes of this page how to find you, your website. You can follow Lauren on social media, Instagram. What is it? Lauren Courtney Heals.
It's Lauren
At
Courtney
Lauren
Heals,
Courtney Heals.
at Lauren Courtney Heals, laurencourtneyheals.com, Lauren Courtney Heals. Just find it anywhere.
Yeah.
We're everywhere. And
Yeah, and tell us a little bit about what you are currently offering.
yeah, so I have online courses that are do it yourself. I have programs called Glow Up Your Chakras, and then you can move into Glow Up Your Aura, Glow Up Your Organs. I just ran as a live group, and it's also going to become an online program, as well as Glow Up Your Business. So Glow Up Your Organs will be available in June, and your business will follow up soon after. And if you're interested in Glow Up Your Chakras or Glow Up Your Aura, or one of my smaller programs, My Body is My Temple, you can use the code 1YEAR to get 20% off any of those programs. It's my 1 year anniversary of having online courses. So I'm sharing a gift with everyone to celebrate that.
Yes, and I highly suggest taking advantage of that and following Lauren. She always posts, well, her posts are great. I love all your writing and stuff, but she always does live card readings and sound healings, and just is like kind of guided to that. So just follow her and see when you want to hop on one of those lives and see what she has to say. But I would love for you to share with us, what is your biggest dream for Lauren Courtney Heals / the spiritual agent? Like, if you were to speak that into our quantum field right now, what would that be?
Something that came up for me yesterday is I choose to be the light without telling you that I'm a light. And what really is speaking to me right now is being able to show up exactly who I am as my most authentic self and really attracting those clients who understand what I'm doing without me even needing to tell them. So that's really my biggest goal, is to continue to be a super attractor for high performers, whether they be athletes, artists, CEOs, healers. I want to be that go-to person for people to really step into that next level, to work through the quantum fields and continue to bend time, shift realities, and at the same time have so much fucking fun and have so much pleasure and joy in my life. Because without the pleasure, without the joy, without the things like in the self-care that we talked about, I can't be my best self. So for me to be able to be my best self and attract incredible clients and incredible opportunities, and to one day stand on stages and not even need to say a word when I walk out on the stage, but be able to hold the vibration of the space at such a high frequency that people start crying because they feel the energy and they feel the healing taking place without my even needing to say a word.
And so it is. Amazing. Well, everyone check out Lauren. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you
And
for
we will
having
see you
me.
soon.